Welcome back, family and friends. This is the Reimagine You Lab podcast, and it is me, MG, who is here with you today. But this is Third Friday, and we've got the one, the only Dr. Joyce G. Moore in the lab with us. Dr. Joyce, how are you today?
Hi, I am blessed and highly favored. Thank you so much for asking.
Absolutely, you are. Well, Dr. Joyce, I'm always thrilled whenever you come in because you're always coming with something wonderful for us to know and to grasp a hold of. And today I really like your title. I like that AI, that anti-inflammatory spices for a healthy lifestyle. So this is gonna be a good one, Dr. Joyce. I am looking forward to it. Well, I guess we probably better start with our wonderful disclaimer, just so that we let people know what we got to let them know.
Exactly. So the information is for educational and inspirational purposes only and not to make a diagnosis or treatment.
All right. And you guys also, for those of you who are tuning in who haven't already, Dr. Joyce has some powerful tools that you can use and have in your arsenal. Is her Purple Mind series. She's in this session, she's talking through some of the things from nutrition and wellness. But go out, visit her site, www.purplemindbook.com, and check out the resources, see the information that she has out there, and pull into your library what you need so that you can make sure that you are well equipped and your body is well is well Dr. Joyce, what am I saying here?
Well protected. Yes.
Well protected.
Yes.
She's got good resources and tools out there, you guys. So make sure that you invest in what you need so that you can stay healthy and vital.
Now, some of the information is also coming from the other book, Purple Mind, Shield of Protection. So I have a little bit of the information about herbs and spices in both of these books, Purple Mind, Nutrition and Wellness, as well as Purple Mind, Shield of Protection, and so much more of the information in both books. And I thank your viewers for purchasing the books. I really appreciate that. So a shout out for them purchasing the books.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, here, let's dive in, Dr. Joyce. Where you want to start today?
Okay, so today we will be talking about the new science of how your body can heal itself by you spicing up your meals with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory herbs that are actually used to make spices. Now, we refer to these anti-inflammatory herbs that are used to make spices as AI spices. So if you hear AI, we're not talking about artificial intelligence. We're actually talking about something that really works to help your body to prevent inflammation. And of course, we know that all diseases are related to inflammation. So these spices are like the new science of actually healing your body through eating properly.
Perfect. That's a good place for us to start. You know what? And inflammation is a big deal, because a lot of times you don't really realize that it's the inflammation that is kind of that initiator, like when the body's inflamed, there's all types of things that can happen. So you want to kind of talk through that a little bit.
Okay, so what is chronic inflammation? When you get a cut or if you have an infection that invades your body, the damaged cells, they produce something that causes a warmth and swelling. Then your immune system that most people have actually heard of, this is a part of your natural health defense system. It's called your immune system. It acts as a first responder through a rapid localized inflammatory process designed to eliminate the invaders and begin the tissue repair.
Which is a good one.
However, when your immune system is too weak to heal an infection, stop an invader, or stay overactive for too long, an acute inflammatory process becomes a chronic inflammation. And a chronic inflammation is like a fire that never goes out. Eventually, it will damage your healthy cells and organs. And so the scientists realize that nearly every disease now is related to chronic inflammation.
Mm, mm. Okay, so we need some help with this here.
So these are the wisdom words. Genesis 1:29. God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. To you it shall be for food." So now I realize that in addition to vegetables that we sometimes consider as an herb, God is saying herb. And so today, what we're talking about are the antioxidant herbs and the anti-inflammatory AI herbs that yield seeds. And these seeds must be in these herbs, or the herbs must come from a seed. They cannot be from the laboratory, and they must grow from the land of the earth in order to be herbs that we use as spices to prevent diseases.
Mm.
So these are some antioxidant and anti-inflammatory herbs, spices that you might already have in your kitchen. Ceylon cinnamon. Now you're going to hear Ceylon cinnamon rather than just cinema, because Ceylon cinnamon is the real deal. It's from Sri Lanka. So you want the Ceylon cinnamon, cayenne peppers and other chili peppers, turmeric, clove, black pepper, parsley, rosemary, nutmeg, oregano, marjoram, ginger, sage, thyme, saffron, basil, peppermint, and cilantro. These are some herbs, anti-inflammatory herbs that you may already have in your kitchen.
Oh, this is good. Well, I'm glad to know that some of this I have. I've got something to work with, right? We've got something that we can work with. And then that Ceylon cinnamon, I'm gonna have to go and I'm gonna have to get some of that, because I think mine just says cinnamon. I know it doesn't have Ceylon on it.
This is the real cinnamon. It's made from the tree bark in Sri Lanka. So this is the cinnamon that you actually want to get.
Okay. All right, I'm writing it down.
So with these anti-inflammatory herbs that we use to make spices, they have these bioactive compounds within them, which are small amounts of compounds in these herbs that can promote your health by interacting with your body cells to boost or activate your 5 amazing natural health defense systems. So this is new information. This is new science. You know about the immune system. We know about the white cells and the immunoglobulins. We've heard a lot about the immune system. Now the gut microbiome, which is the gut healthy bacteria, it works in conjunction with the immune system. They work together. Most people have not heard about DNA protection, and this is another health defense system, and also stem cell regeneration. So we have these regeneration cells called stem cells that work to boost or protect our natural defense system, natural health defense system. And we have what's called angiogenesis. And this is the new blood vessel. They promote new blood vessel growth. And this is very important because the human body has over 60,000 miles of blood vessels that make up our circulatory system.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so again, whenever you see any of these spices they contain antioxidants. And so we've heard from previous featured segments on your show lots about antioxidants.
Mhm.
And we know that antioxidants are the good guys and the free radicals are the bad guys. So these spices are actually the good guys protecting your cells from cancer and diabetes and heart disease and autoimmune disease and all of the other diseases. And that's because they contain bioactive compounds that can turn your every healthy meal, and we're talking about meals that are non-GMO meals, plant-based organic meals. That's what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Into a natural health defense fortress. And it's turmeric, which contains the bioactive compound curcumin. And a lot of times they will use curcumin instead of turmeric. You may see on your spices curcumin, but curcumin is actually the bioactive compound, and it's so potent in the turmeric, especially when you combine it with black pepper. And black pepper has the pepperine in it. And then we have the Ceylon cinnamon, we have rosemary. Now, rosemary, the bioactive compound is the rosmarinic acid, and this is so important. And this rosmarinic acid comes from is also seen in the other spices from the rosemary plant family. And that will be your marjoram, thyme, basil, sage, oregano, and peppermint. And all of these are in the rosemary plant family, which contains the rosmarinic acid. Now, the amazing thing about God is not only does he put one thing in it to help us, but then you have the flavonoids. And a lot of people have heard about the bioactive compounds, flavonoids, and phenolic, and polyphenols, vitamin A and E.
Yeah. Wow. So it's packed. You said it creates that natural health defense fortress. I love that, because a lot of times you're not exactly sure what all things you should be doing, but you could just season your food better and make some really good progress, in overcoming maybe some challenges and stuff, and you didn't even really know it, right at home in your spice cabinet.
Exactly. But again, remember that the foundation is that meal. It can't be processed foods and carbs and foods high in sugar. You actually need your non-GMO, plant-based organic meals to put your spices on.
Okay.
In addition, to help to protect our natural health defense fortress, we have ginger. And we see that in the ginger, you have gingerol. Now, when it's fresh ginger, the bioactive compound is called gingerols. When it's dried or cooked, the bioactive compound now is called, shigel. That's how you pronounce that. And then in the cayenne pepper, the bioactive ingredient is capsaicin. In cloves, you have quercetin, lactic acid, and nutmeg, just phenols, parsley, apigenin. Now, that apigenin is a major flavonoid that kills cancer cells. This is parsley. Chiffon is chaffinol, and cilantro. We have vitamin A, C, and E, and we know those are antioxidants. And it aids in heavy metal detoxification. So that's a good one if you're cooking fish, because now they say that because our water is so toxic with mercury and other heavy metals, this will help to detox those heavy metals, the cilantro. And you can use them fresh or dried.
Okay. No, that's really good. Dr. Joyce, when you're looking at, like, I think about ginger, and I'll peel a little bit of ginger. I just keep fresh ginger at home, and I'll peel some of it, drop it in my water. Like, I'll boil some water and I'll put it in a cup and then put my ginger in there with it. Should you be eating the ginger? Like, should it be sliced, or is it just having it in water like that is okay?
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because this is referred to as a ginger tea.
Okay.
Actually make a ginger tea, and that will help for the onset of colds and sore throats.
Mhm.
So peel the ginger and you can cook with it. You can make a tea with that ginger. It's all so very helpful to boost your immune system.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I feel like I'm doing something right, Dr. Joyce.
Okay, so now I want you to remember that all of the spices are antioxidant. Those are the good guys that protect our bodies against the free radicals. All of these are anti-inflammatory, AI spices. And so they can help to prevent the leading cause of death in this country. And the next slide will show you that the number one leading cause of death in the USA is heart disease. And then sandwich in between heart disease and stroke, which is the third leading cause of death, is cancer. But I sort of bundle heart disease and stroke together because they're both referring to a vascular disease. And so with inflammation, we want to protect the vessels from inflammation. So with
Mhm.
antioxidant and anti-inflammatory spices, they are going to protect your blood vessels from inflammation, from plaque buildup, which causes them to narrow and slow down the blood flow. And so these spices would be, and of course, you're adding, for the most part, you're adding these spices to your food, incorporating them in your meals, would be the Ceylon Cinnamon. And 1/2 teaspoon daily for 4 months, 16 weeks, reduces high blood sugar, reduces high blood lipids, and lowers the systolic blood pressure. And the systolic blood pressure is actually the top number. So you have a top number and you have a lower number. The top
Mhm.
number is systolic blood pressure. That's the pressure when your heart is beating is pumping the blood through the vessels. And the lower one, the diastolic, is when the heart is at rest. So it will help lower your systolic blood pressure. And then we have turmeric curcumin. We know that the bioactive ingredient is curcumin, but you always have to incorporate black pepper for the turmeric to be more effective.
Okay.
And then also to help prevent heart disease and stroke, we have cayenne peppers. And with the cayenne peppers, you don't want to use over 1/3 teaspoon daily, and it will produce a healthy gut bacteria. And you remember we talked about the healthy gut and the immune system; they work together. However, there's a catch in this. If you have GI tract disease, if you have ulcers, or if you have diverticulosis, if you have gastric reflux, if you're on blood pressure thinners or blood pressure
Mhm.
medications, stay away from cayenne pepper. Okay, so we can use something else to boost a healthy gut bacteria versus cayenne pepper. You remember we talked about the juices, pomegranate and a little bit of cranberry. That will also boost a healthy immune system if you have GI tract issues. And
Okay.
then rosemary. Now, rosemary is very, very important for people who have heart disease or who have had a heart attack or stroke, because
Mhm.
what it does, it promotes new blood vessel growth. And you know that with the heart attack, the blood vessel get clogged up. There's no nutrients passing with the blood to the heart, and that's why you get a heart attack. So with this rosemary and all of the other spices in the rosemary plant family, what they do is promote new blood vessel growth in patients recovering from a heart attack or stroke. So if you're recovering from a heart attack, then you want to make sure you're including this rosemary into your meals. And then we have ginger and cloves. And like I said, all of these are antioxidants and anti-inflammatory spices. So I think that wraps it up for heart. So I'm just going to go quickly through all of the spices that you want to be using, incorporating these into your healthy meals. for heart disease and stroke: Ceylon Cinnamon, turmeric, curcumin. Make sure you're including the black pepper, a small amount of black pepper, cayenne pepper, unless you have GI ulcers or diverticulosis, or you're on a blood thinner, or your blood pressure is high, rosemary, ginger, and cloves.
Perfect. Okay. So cancer prevention, there's some AI spices for that too.
Oh, absolutely. And cancer is actually the number 2 cause of disease in the USA. And so again, it goes back to the rabbit trail of chronic inflammation. And a lot of times when a person has chronic inflammation, there will be an increase in cell division. And when there's an increase in cell division, you have cancerous tumors that are being formed. And also, if the immune system is weakened, the first response system, the immune system is weakened, that should be able or could be able to detect and destroy cancer cells, then you have cancer. You can have the development of cancer. And so we want to stay away from certain foods that will weaken the immune system, which are like processed foods such as white flour, white rice, granulated sugar, foods with additives in it, especially titanium dioxide, silicone dioxide, all of your preservatives, and we went through the preservatives, your nitrates and nitrites, sodium nitrates, nitrites that you're finding in your foods, like your sausage and your processed hams, as well as alcohol, and of course smoking. And so now, what are the main, all of these spices are good to protect our health defense fortress. But when we're looking at cancer, we want to note that rosemary, along with all of the other plants in the rosemary plant family, all of the other herbs that we use to make spices, marjoram, basil, sage, oregano, and peppermint, they contain the bioactive compound rosmarinic acid. And this helps to turn on tumor suppressor genes. So you're actually turning on genes that will suppress cancer, that will suppress tumors when you're eating this rosemary and all of those other plants in the rosemary family. And that's called epigenesis. So what it means is it goes above our genes. So within our genes, if we're protecting our DNA, then if we have a normal DNA, which is the blueprint of the cell, then by eating this herb, it will produce tumor suppressor genes. And this can help to kill breast cancer cells.
Oh, wow. You know what? That's super helpful, Dr. Joyce, because there are so many people, and sometimes you don't know where the cancers come from, and that we know that there's cells inside the body and can be dormant or can grow cancer. And so having something like, spices that can help be preventative or to help regenerate genes, this epigenesis goes beyond what would be normal, hey, let's sprinkle a little bit more on,
Exactly. And especially like when you have your food and you say, oh, I need a little more seasoning, instead of using salt, we'll use a little rosemary or sprinkle marjoram or basil, whatever spices. And God knew, he has a sense of humor. He knew that some people would probably like rosemary and some may not. But then you still have marjoram, you still have basil, sage, oregano, peppermint, the different spices to use.
Yeah, no, super. I swear I learned something new every time I'm talking to you.
Well, thank you, Jesus. Okay, so continuing with the cancer prevention, these antioxidant, anti-inflammatory spices, thyme And thyme is so wonderful because it suppresses cancer stem cells. Okay, so the doctor goes in. He said, okay, I got your cancer. I have your cancer out, but maybe they're little small prostate cancer or breast cancer stem cells that are just floating around waiting to grow. This herb thyme will actually go in and kill that cancer stem cell. And then we have the cayenne pepper. And of course, the cayenne pepper is to promote healthy gut bacteria and to shrink tumors in the colon. So it will actually shrink the tumors in the colon. But of course, we mentioned how you need to stay away from that if you have GI issues like gastric ulcers, reflux and other things. Turmeric, curcumin with black pepper protects against colon cancer, brain cancers, and leukemia. And the unique thing about the turmeric curcumin, and it's actually considered the number one anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, because it allows for healthy blood vessels that boost your healthy stem cells. So you remember we said the stem cells and the blood vessels, they work together, that defense system, because whenever you have a stem cell that's growing, that stem cell is going to need blood. So we need to have healthy blood vessels, angiogenesis. And then we have oregano. So that again is an anti-cancer stem cell. So the oregano and the thyme, like I said, if you've had cancer surgery and you want to make sure you're gonna get rid of any stem cells that might be floating around, then spice up your meals with thyme and oregano.
Okay.
And so I'm going to just go through those quickly, all of the spices for the cancer prevention. Rosemary, marjoram, basil, sage, oregano, peppermint. And peppermint is for poor digestion. Okay, so if somebody is on chemotherapy treatment and they're having problems with digestion, peppermint is also helpful. Thyme, cayenne pepper, turmeric, curcumin with black pepper and oregano.
Okay.
Okay, so the next disease that we're having problems with is obesity, which it goes hand in hand with diabetes in this country. And I think a lot of the obesity and diabetes has been a result of the high fructose corn syrup and these different syrups that they're making from genetically modified plants. And so the anti-inflammatory, antioxidant spices can help manage the sugar spikes caused by sugary drinks and processed carbohydrates that leads to obesity and the metabolic syndrome. And the spices would again be the cayenne pepper, because it contains the bioactive compound capsaicin, and it helps to fight the gut bacteria that leads to inflammation and contributes to obesity. And so you never want to eat more than 1/3 of a teaspoon daily of the cayenne pepper. It's a very hot, spicy pepper. And then we have the Ceylon cinnamon. Research shows that eating 1/2 teaspoons of the Ceylon, the real cinnamon, daily for 4 months, combined with healthy eating and brisk walking for 45 minutes daily, resulted in a reduced blood lipids, smaller waistline. And in females, your waistline should be no more than 35 inches. And in males, 40 inches. Lowers the systolic blood pressure and improves by 10% your blood sugar levels. And so some people will have what's called the metabolic syndrome. In other words, their sugar will be elevated, the lipids will be elevated, the blood pressure will be elevated. And so this Ceylon Cinnamon can go in and help to remedy all of this, plus decrease your waistline, along with exercise. The one thing you want to remember, though, about Ceylon Cinnamon is that it contains a trace of coumarin. And so if you are on blood thinner, or if you have any concerns about the coumarin that's naturally a part of the Ceylon Cinnamon blood thinning effects, then you need to consult your healthcare provider and let him know that you're taking Ceylon Cinnamon.
Okay.
And those were the two, just those two for diabetes, obesity, to help prevent obesity and diabetes, the cayenne pepper and the Ceylon Cinnamon.
Okay. Okay.
So now Alzheimer's. A lot of people have realized that dementia has increased tremendously within the last decade.
It really has. Yeah. You're seeing it so much more now.
Right. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask that you're seeing that. So I'm interested in the information you share here.
So again, that goes back to chronic inflammation and all of the turmeric, curcumin with the black pepper. That's an anti-inflammatory spice. And we go to the next slide. Rosemary. It not only promotes the brain health and new blood vessel growth, angiogenesis. And again, if the most important thing is that you need the stem cells to produce new brain cells. And in addition to that, you need the blood vessels to be growing to provide nutrients to these new stem cells so that you can repair damage from strokes, from trauma, etc. And it also prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine, which is a critical brain chemical for memory, that acetylcholine. That's what rosemary and all of those other spices in the rosemary family will do. It will help prevent the breakdown of acetylcholine. Then you have your oregano, which is part of the same rosemary family. Your ginger promotes a healthy brain. Saffron protects the brain cells against memory loss. And also with this saffron, it exerts an antidepressant effect and improves a person's mood. A lot of times when people have inflammatory disease of the brain, they'll be depressed. They have inflammation wherever in the body, they will feel depressed. So the saffron will improve the mood. However, saffron, like cinnamon, like your Ceylon Cinnamon, is a blood thinner. So if you're on a blood thinner or taking blood pressure medications, you have to let your doctor know about the saffron. And then sage enhances memory and focus, and it improves your cognitive score. That's sage. And of course, we have the Ceylon Cinnamon, which is anti-diabetic. It decreases your blood sugar level. And so now they're saying that diabetic patients with dementia is referred to as type 3 diabetes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And of course, diabetes causes sugar in the blood is a culprit for inflammation. It doesn't allow the stem cells to grow. It's a bad player. So yes. Okay, so autoimmune disease. These anti-inflammatory, antioxidant spices such as ginger, turmeric with black pepper, oregano, nutmeg, cayenne pepper, and cloves can help increase the regulatory T cells. And these regulatory T cells, that's a part of the immune system. And what it does is once you have too much inflammation, they'll turn on to cut off, serve as referees to balance an overactive immune system. And vitamin C does the same thing. So your citric fruits with seeds will help with the same thing. And it keeps it from attacking, it keeps these from going into an overactive immune system that will actually attack your body's immune system. That's what happens with autoimmune disease and people with lupus, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, even psoriasis and ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. They are considered autoimmune diseases. And then we have nutmeg and ginger. And both of these will help reduce joint swelling and pain. And you have a lot of people with like MS, they will complain about pain, joint pain. So if they add a little nutmeg and ginger, and even make a ginger tea like you had said, they can make a ginger tea. The only thing about nutmeg is that you have to be very careful because it can be toxic if you consume over 2 teaspoons. Okay, so I'm not going to go through a lot of this, but these are the simple daily habits, and you can just read those on your own. Rosemary, sage, thyme, use that as your salad dressing. They will promote DNA protection. Sprinkle a little bit on your salad versus, salts and other things, and they will help to suppress tumor genes. And then we have the joint support tea, and we mentioned the ginger, and this is another way that you can use ginger with a pinch of nutmeg to help with joint swelling. And then we have, you can juice ginger. So my son, he really likes to juice ginger. He does his own juicing. He uses apples. He peeled the ginger, put the ginger in with his apples, and he'll juice it. And now if you add just a pinch of nutmeg, that will help too with joint swelling and joint pain.
Nice. That's good. Listen, I'm gonna use some of that, Dr. Joyce. Throw a little nutmeg in because I get up and I'll do my exercising and stuff. But sometimes them knees and stuff get to cracking and making sounds that I wish it wasn't. And so yeah, I'm gonna add a little nutmeg into my ginger tea.
Yes, that sounds good. Okay, so these are the traditional ingredients. And now we want to trade them up for our AI spices to upgrade it. So instead of table salt, and a lot of people are getting away from table salt, but even pink salt and your sea salt. You want a little salt. We are the Bible said we are the salt of the earth, okay? So we don't need a lot of salt, but we do need a small amount of salt because salt can cause blood pressure, increase your blood pressure, it can cause heart disease, it can cause strokes. And even salt can irritate the lining of your stomach and cause stomach cancer if you're eating too much salt. So instead of that, what you want to do with your food, when you take your food out after you finish cooking it with turmeric and all the other spices, then you might want to add a little bit of turmeric and black pepper on top of that instead of salt to give it a little bit more seasoning. That's what you're doing. So you want to trade up your sugar and your sweetener for Ceylon cinnamon and your butter and heavy cream. Use ginger instead. Instead of black pepper alone, use a cayenne pepper. Now, if you have those GI issues that I mentioned, then you go back to your turmeric with a little black pepper. And then instead of soy sauce, which is high in sodium, and a lot of the soy plants have been genetically modified. As a matter of fact, that was the very first one to be genetically modified was the soy beans. Go use your rosemary and thyme. And you remember how thyme will kill the stem cells in breast cancer and prostate cancer and other cancer. It just will get rid of those stem cells.
Oh, nice. Dr. Joyce, this is so good. Listen, if you guys are tuning in, if you definitely make sure that you lock in this substitution guide. If you got your phone, take a picture of it so that you can just have it on your have it as a resource. You can pull it up whenever you're going into the spice cabinet and looking for something to put on your food. You want to have this guide. This is a good tool, Dr. Joyce.
Thank you. And if they're enjoying it, like it, subscribe and share, and then go back to these. We were fortunate enough to have Miss Brielle Gynes, to change these this cocoon of slides that I sent her into these beautiful images, so that your audience can use them at any time and refer back to them.
Yeah, good reference material. It really is good reference material. I find myself going back looking at things.
It is. Okay, so you want to stay away. Now, this is what causes chronic inflammation: a poor diet. Those are processed foods and alcohol. And of course, you want to stay away from smoking, all of the different smokings that they have now. Foods containing fast absorbing carbohydrates like sugar, white flour, and rice. And there is a lab test. So if you say, I don't know if I have an increased level of inflammation in my body, you can ask your doctor for a C-reactive protein, abbreviated CRP test, which is a blood marker used to measure the level of inflammation in your body. And you can do this, when you go in, you should take your body in like you take your car in for a tune-up checkup once a year. And when you go in for your once a year checkup, ask for this test, C-reactive protein, CRP test. And important safety tips, we've talked about nutmeg. It can be toxic, so you want to consume less than 2 teaspoons, no more than 2 teaspoons daily. We've talked about Ceylon Cinnamon and saffron. They are natural blood thinners. And if you're already on a blood thinner medication, talk to your doctor about that.
Okay.
And this is what we're going to look for, again, because they are genetically modifying almost all of the foods on the shelf in our stores in the USA. So you want to look for these 2 labels that are below your USDA organic, or you just might see organic, and then the little butterfly logo with non-GMO project verified. Look for that on your spices. And when you're reading the ingredients, always take time to read the ingredients. And you should only have 1 ingredient listed. So if you have purchased rosemary, when you read your ingredient, it should only say rosemary, organic rosemary. And if you see any other names behind that, leave it on the shelf, especially if it's an anti-caking agent. And that's the same for your salt. You just want to see sea salt or pink salt. You don't want to see any other names behind those herbs or salts.
Okay.
And so the 2 books that we mentioned earlier, Purple Mind, Nutrition and Wellness, it contains some of this information, but not as much, because a lot of this is new science information on how to protect your body eating spices and herbs. And then the Purple Mind Shield of Protection, my co-author, Dr. Aisha Chilcott, she is a naturopathic doctor, and we wrote this book together, and she was very, very instrumental in me writing this book around the time of COVID. So it's a lot of information for the spirit, body, and soul. And then Dr. Lee's book, I can't say enough about how he did the heavy lifting for me in my research on Eat to Beat Disease and Eat to Beat Your Diet. These 2 books, you should really purchase, really invest in. It's by Dr. William W. His last name is Lee, L-I. And if you have any problems or any questions, because I mostly talk about plant-based foods, but if you have any concerns about what meats are permitted or forbidden, read chapter 11, Leviticus chapter 11, and Deuteronomy chapter 14 in the Bible, and it will actually let you know what meats that you should eat that can also help with your natural health defense immune system. Can some of the meats actually can, but they have to be permitted meats. And all of your meats must be well done and trim off the fat. Don't eat the fat and don't eat any meat that's bloody, that you see the blood half rare or whatever you may call it. Well done, because that there's life in the blood, parasites in the blood.
Okay.
So move away from processed foods, artificial sweeteners, and sugars, which can cause inflammation, which is the cause and culprit of nearly every disease that we have and that you can imagine, and replace them with organic, non-GMO, plant-based foods, seasoned, spiced up with antioxidant and AI spices that are made from herbs. Thank you.
So good, Dr. Joyce. The AI spice strategy. I love it. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I've got something new now in my repertoire of things that can help me and improve and maintain this body. Oh, I love it, Dr. Joyce. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you.
Lots of good stuff. If you are tuning in, make sure that you send us a comment. If you have questions, share your questions, because we get Dr. Joyce will take those and we'll come back and respond back to questions that are presented by our listening audience. And then also make sure that you come back and take some snapshots of the information that's been presented here, those lists of the natural spices and stuff, the ones that help, whether it's for cardiovascular and to prevent strokes, or to deal with cancer, to deal with obesity and diabetes. Come back and take some snapshots of those slides, so that you just know what you can do to improve right inside of your spice cabinet.
Exactly. You have your
spices cost less than medications.
Absolutely. And a lot of these, like with the cinnamon and the saffron, you can buy them as in capsules. Cinnamon and the saffron in capsules as supplements. So you can do that. And clove is good for parasites. So a lot of people now saying, oh, do I have parasites? Well, you can just sprinkle a little clove on your food, or make a clove tea out of it, drink it to cleanse your body of parasites.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's so good. Well, everybody, we want to thank you for tuning in today. Thank you, Dr. Joyce, for being here and for sharing. This has been good for us inside and out. So we thank you. And you all, don't forget, share this podcast with a friend, family member, a neighbor. Leave us comments or questions. And until next time, we look forward to seeing you later. Be blessed.
Bye-bye.